Hi everyone, I'm Jess. I'm the Sustainable Food Coordinator at EcoSavvy. This is the first in a series of online tutorials we'll be doing for you on different subjects ranging from fermenting to store cupboard cooking to foraging and so on. So today we're going to be looking at fermentation. I'll talk you through a little bit about what fermentation is, and then we will be making a simple sauerkraut. Native fermented foods have been eaten and prepared across multiple cultures for thousands of years. Fermentation is a process of controlled decay in which good bacteria flourish to preserve the food. Things such as Korean kimchi, Japanese miso, Eastern European sauerkrauts are all different types of fermented food. As well as nutritional benefits, fermenting foods is a great way to preserve and extend the shelf life of perishable foods, and also to extend the shelf life of foods that you might have a glut of, such as vegetables that you've grown in the garden. It's a great way to avoid food waste. Fermenting foods is simple. All you need is some vegetables, a bowl, some salt and some additional spices, and a container to put it all in, and then you just leave it for some time for it to actually get fermenting. There are two types of fermentation. There's a brining method whereby you create a brine, you mix salt to water and submerge large vegetables in that, or you do a dry salting method which covers things like kimchi and sauerkraut, which is what we're going to be looking at today. So as mentioned, today we're going to be looking at a classic sauerkraut. It's a very simple ferment. So what you do is you take a whole cabbage, in this case something around 800 grams of cabbage. Now the weights are important because the weight is what will allow you to get the salt ratio correct in order for your ferment to work at its most efficient level. So we'll take our cabbage and we will cut it in half. And then what we'll do is we will remove the outer leaves. These will be used to submerge your ferment once it's at that stage. Once you've taken these outer leaves, you will core your cabbage, removing the centre bit. Because the centre bit's quite tough, it would take too long to ferment, so we're just going to take that out. And then what we're going to do, just take off the bottoms here as well. And then we're going to finely slice the cabbage. And then once you've cut the cabbage, you want it all in similar sort of size chunks, and you're going to put that in the bowl. And once you've got that in your mixing bowl, what you'll do is you will take the salt. Now, when you're making sauerkraut, you're looking for a ratio of about 2.5% salt to the weight of the cabbage. So this cabbage was about 800 grams, so I've got 19 grams of salt here, and that's going to create the right environment for the bacteria to flourish in which to make this sauerkraut. So what I'll do is I will pour the salt over the cabbage, and now it's time to massage the cabbage. So you just get your hands in here. Now this process takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and what you're doing is you're massaging the cabbage and trying to extract the natural juices from the cabbage. So we've been massaging for about 3 minutes now, and you can see the cabbage is starting to get much wetter. We'll carry on doing this for another couple of minutes, and then we will leave the cabbage sit and steep for about 15 minutes to half an hour. And in that time, the salt will be drawing out a lot of the juice from the cabbage, the water from the cabbage itself, which will be creating the brine solution for the cabbage to sit in whilst it's fermenting. So we've left the cabbage for about 20 minutes, and you can see there's quite a lot of liquid here, which is what we want. What we're going to do now is we're going to add our spices. Now, a classic sauerkraut contains caraway seeds, so I've got some caraway seeds here to add in. I also like a dill in my sauerkraut, so I'm going to add in some freshly chopped dill. But you can add anything, any variations of spices into the cabbage once you've got it to that stage. So for example, here is a sauerkraut I made a few weeks back, which is actually full of Indian spices. So it's got cumin seeds, mustard seeds, turmeric, and some coriander in there, as well as a little bit of chili for a bit of kick. But today, as I say, we're making a classic sauerkraut. So you can see, just massage those spices in a little bit, and you can see you've really got a lot of liquid going here, which is great. So what you want to do now is you want to put the cabbage into a clean kilner jar where it will ferment. In order to sterilise the kilner jar, I would recommend putting it into a dishwasher or washing it on a very hot temperature with very little soap and then putting it into a low oven to dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to start packing the sauerkraut into the jar, making it a bit of a mess whilst we do it. You want to just really tightly pack that in there. So you're really trying to pack that in and get the air out. What fermentation often is an anaerobic process, meaning without oxygen. And in order to achieve that environment, we've created this sort of brine to keep air out, and that will stop the spoiling and moulding. So, just going to keep packing that in. And then once you've packed it all the way in, what you're going to do is you're going to get this additional brine here and pour that into the jar just to top it up. There we go. So you can see that's the cabbage mostly submerged under the brine. But what we'll do, just to make sure that it stays submerged, is we will add a couple of cabbage leaves that we got earlier when we peeled the cabbage, just so that none of the chopped cabbage has to react with the oxygen and has any chance of spoiling. There we go, so that's all under the brine. Now, what we will do is we'll put a weight in. I can already tell this glass, actually no, it should be around the right height. So what you can do is you can put some pebbles or marbles in the glass to weigh it down. Actually, the glass should just fit within the jar. And you'll seal your jar like this, and that will submerge the cabbage. Now, every couple of days, as fermentation, as the process takes place, there's a build-up of carbon dioxide. So every couple of days, what you want to do is you want to burp your jar, where you just open it and just remove that sort of airtight seal, just to release that build-up of carbon dioxide. Now what you'll do is you'll place this jar. In fact, I've just realised I haven't got the seal. So what you'll do is you'll add the seal back onto your jar and place your jar in a spot that doesn't get any sunlight. You want to keep a consistent temperature of 15 to 22 degrees in order for fermentation to work properly. So just place the jar in sort of a cool, darkish spot. So you want to keep your sauerkraut at 15 to 22 degrees at room temperature, because that's the best sort of temperature for it to ferment. And that's it. So that'll be ready for you in about 3 weeks' time. And once it's ready, you just decant it into smaller jars and keep it in the fridge, and that will halt the fermentation process. And that's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching this first tutorial on fermentation. If you have any questions, just comment under the video or email me at jess.ecosavvy@gmail.com, and we also have a fermentation booklet which we will be posting along with this video. So thank you and see you next time.